Look, I opened this jar of rotten baby food, and well, a butterfly came out.
And he stops me, and I'm thinking, oh. And so I start going. I'm a great actress. There's an Emmy and an Oscar waiting for me somewhere.
Welcome to the Comedians and Elevators podcast. I've got my guest, Lee Colee. Lee, say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I am Lee Colee. I've been 44 plus years in the industry doing every kind of job there is except porn.
Okay.
And And now I'm currently a voiceover actress and a professional speaker. And uh, people tell me I'm funny, so I guess I'm a comic. And,
Okay.
I base that all of my experience based on being a misfit since birth. And here I am.
Nice. All right. So you ready to get started, Lee?
Yeah, I am.
Listen, to my regular listeners, I know you don't like when at the beginning of these conversations I ask you to subscribe. None of us like it. I don't like saying it. I don't like it being in here. But it's frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? It's also frustrating when I look in the back end of the YouTube channel and I see that 56% of you that watch frequently haven't yet subscribed. And I know this because I see it in the comments section. You say things like, I didn't know I didn't subscribe. And that's actually what fuels the show. Basically, it's like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask all the time, because it enables us to build and build and build. And we're going for the long term here. Hit the subscribe button and we'll continue to build this show for you. That's my promise. Thank you to all you guys that do subscribe. It means the world to me. All right. So the whole point of the podcast is to compare and contrast the comic versus the comedian. So I define the comic as any person telling funny jokes versus the comedian who's a funny person telling any joke. So Lee, would you agree that you start as a comic and evolve into a comedian?
Well, if we're if we want to make this racial context, I'm uh I believe a comic is somebody who just looks at the world funny and it comes out of the mouth. A comedian, I feel like, is a really hard worker and gifted uh with extraordinary funny bones, and they make
Mm,
it an art. Uh I feel like I'm more of a comic because I look at the world kind of more irreverently than most. And I think or like a celebrity versus an actor, a serious actor.
okay.
But
So
uh,
which one's which? With the celebrities, the comic?
I'm gonna say yeah. But the
Okay.
fact is that celebrities are trendy. They don't
Okay.
last as long as a serious actor. I mean, yeah, they work. Uh, and where I'm going with this comedy or comic stuff is
Mm-hmm.
still kind of new ground for me. I never knew I was funny until I got up just on a lark on an open mic night,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, you know. I just
Yeah.
I started getting laughs, and I thought, hey, this is pretty cool.
Now, were you getting laughs because of what you were saying or how you were saying it?
I think it was how I was saying it.
Okay. And so did you intend on how you were saying it?
Well, somebody just said, get up there and tell a story.
Okay.
And that's all they told me. And but working in theater and film and all that, I don't have a problem uh working in front of an audience. And I'm blind and deaf most of the time anyway, so I don't see the audience and I don't worry about the camera because I can't see it.
That's hilarious
And
because so your blind spot is your funny bone. I mean, would you agree?
I guess so, because I'm oblivious to a lot of things that just, well, I have a logo that I started using on my blog and stuff, and it's called Puberty Passed Me By,
Hmm.
but I had to catch a ride, and here I am,
Okay.
you know.
Well, yeah, I
So
mean, so yeah, I like that. So is that
Beady, 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 beady.
that's I mean, that's interesting. So it's like I don't know. I guess it's both, right? It's both current and long-term perspective using that phrase. Would you agree?
uh, that is, you ask profound questions.
Or haven't
I
even
just
started yet.
know that deep down, my inner motivation is just to make people feel better when they leave than when they arrived.
Right.
So I guess I essentially tell stories in my from my perspective, and it's skewed. It's just anything
Yes.
weird. I mean, my husband tells me I could destroy an anvil
Hmm.
because I'm just so, I don't know.
Unstoppable force.
Unstoppable force. Okay, we'll call it that.
Well, the anvil's the unmovable object. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I can destroy it, he says.
Nice. All
Yeah,
right.
my computer
Unstoppable.
hates me.
Uh,
Uh, so I reciprocate, you know.
oh, I see. So you're constantly investing in that.
Well, yeah, getting it repaired. I'm not going to buy a new one, but my car doesn't like me either. Anything that can go wrong does. So
Hmm.
maybe I, that's where it all started. Frustration.
Interesting. Interesting. I like it. So you ready for the first question, Lee?
I don't know. I thought that was the first question.
Well, that was the topic. So now these are
Okay.
the
All right.
subcategories.
Comic versus comedian.
Yes,
Maybe I'm a
that's
hybrid.
well, yeah. It's I would say it's two sides of the same coin, and you can go between them, and the reason why I brought it up is because schedulers and comedy club owners want to know what your style is, so they can put you in the lineup, and they know like what the tempo will be. And so that's where I discovered it. So, all right. So the first question is
Okay.
about the role of persona in comedy. So, how much of the comedian's voice is a character versus the real self?
Well, I know I don't worry about it for me because just the sound of my voice is comical sometimes. So I don't try to be anything other than me. Um, some of these comic impersonators, I
Hmm.
guess that's their thing. But I've not met or worked with or watched anyone unless it was Jeff Dunham, with his puppets and Darcy, somebody who's a ventriloquist. I think if they use different voices, they're not just a comedian.
Okay, so got it. So you're saying that if you're doing characters with voices, that's more of a comic?
I think it's a stand-up act of some kind.
Okay.
Uh, but if somebody laughs, hey, that's comedy.
Right. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, the laugh is what you're hoping to entertain them and get that positive feedback. That's like a, a drug, and the more you get the feedback, the more it uh, makes you keep going and
Hmm.
going for more. It's like a drug. So I just, as far as my own experience, it's trying to be relatable to the audience with the subject matters I pick to talk
Hmm.
about. And I kind of mix that with an inspirational message that comes from all my coaching. So
Okay.
I think, and with all the places I've been as a speaker, they can't figure out what I am. Are you a
What do you mean?
speaker? Are you a
Uh-huh.
comic? And I
Ah.
think, well, I'm a speaker, but if you laugh at what I say, that's great. So,
So would you say that your origin is tragic?
well, if we're going into psychology, every comic probably has trauma in their background because if you can't laugh, you'll just cry all day, right?
Hmm.
And some of the best comedians I've ever seen and worked with off stage were depressed, drunkards, drug addicts, impulsive uh, flakes, you know? but you put them on the stage and they transform. Uh, Somebody told me I had a friend a long time ago. He's passed on now, but he was a two-time Award winner for Lily Tomlin's material,
Mhm.
and he says, "I guarantee you, anybody who's funny is damaged in some way." So I just take that as a given. We're all hiding our pain by making others laugh.
So are we hiding it or are we just uncovering it in the moment?
Well, I think if it comes from a place of authenticity and you're not afraid to use your personal trauma for laughs
Mhm.
and vulnerability, I think that's brave. But, I never was one myself to play poor victim, and the other professionals I know, they don't go that direction. They make fun of themselves.
Right. Well,
And
speaking of, how about punching up versus punching down? So where do comics versus comedians stand on this? And let me put it in some historical context.
okay,
Did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
run that by me again.
Did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
Well, that would certainly be punching down.
Okay.
I I don't agree. Well, when you say punching down, I think of the negative, who like to poke, I mean, really criticize somebody, like uh, Kathy Lee, Joan Rivers, the the one, who was the guy that I don't get no respect? Don Rickles, maybe?
Oh boy.
Well, anyway, these
Yeah.
comics that used to put down other people in jokes.
Uh-huh.
I don't agree with that because, or those comedians who want to supposedly give you a message or preach at you.
Mhm.
That to me is not a good road to go down. I prefer to punch up and make people think of something in a new way or picture these crazy things, images in their heads, and they go out feeling good. And trying to make someone diminished in somebody else's mind or criticizing others as your entertainment, I mean, that's kind of, to me, low class.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's they're trying to reduce the denominator instead of increasing the numerator, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Because nobody else is going to be me. So I don't worry. I mean, I'm too old now to worry about, competing with so and so over here. Or if you like me, fantastic. Let's talk. Let's have fun. But if you don't, go on. Nice knowing you.
wouldn't wouldn't punching up actually be competition, like pure competition?
Well, only with yourself.
Okay.
Only with yourself because you can't be a copy of somebody else. And that's what I
Interesting.
took give a talk on a lot, especially to performers who are aspiring or they're frustrated because they're just not nailing the audition to get the job. And it
Hmm.
all comes from a self-absorbed mindset. And so I talk about that, and I make a lot of funny jokes about it. And uh, and sometimes people recognize themselves in what I'm talking about, and if they do, that's good. But I never preach. I just make jokes about it and how to maybe make a change.
You make
And we
jokes about
still laugh.
preaching. Is that what you're saying?
I don't preach. Nobody
But you
wants
make
to hear.
jokes about preaching.
I guess so. I guess
Okay.
so. I mean,
I'm just
I
checking.
imitate, the people the types I'm talking
Hmm.
about. I have a lot of audience participation back and forth, and I call them out on things in jest. So I think I'm just an entertainer.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, hey,
maybe there's
whatever
three
works.
categories: comic, comedian, entertainer.
Well, there are more, and we're going to get to them. So,
Oh
how
God.
about how How about cultural translation of comedy? So, how do jokes that work in one country bomb in another?
Well, the language vernacular can be something you have to consider. The politics of that time or that wherever you're going. Uh, but down deep, people are all the same. So if you're topical, you might have a challenge. But if you talk about universal truths and universal foibles of people and uh, events or whatever,
Mhm.
I think you're on safe ground unless you can't speak their language and they can't speak yours.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so
So
I
then,
guess I prefer to stay universal rather than trendy. I might comment on the trends in general. I do have a whole talk stand up about that, about how and I can get away with things because of my age that I never could when I was young and you know.
now what is that a kind of, now that sounds like you might be a punching down potentially. What are you getting away with?
Well, I have another talk about how uh, not being a spring chicken uh, is not that bad. And I list all the advantages, I'll go in and say, uh, I'm a, I don't know, I'm a proud late blooming baby boomer. So give me some
Okay.
respect. Okay. And then I might say to the, if it's a mixed crowd, I'll make sure I recognize all those, you young little Barbies, you
Hmm.
know, uh, we,
Okay.
I can do a lot of things that you don't have the guts to do. Otherwise, you'll sound like you're a working girl. And
Mm.
uh, and then I go on and talk about uh, delicately, but talk about what a sex life is like for a senior. And I talk about how women love men in uniforms at any age. And I talk about you know the man in you at the how I go into this story that just came to me as I was working something somewhere, and I said, I got the ride of my life from the Home Depot man in his uniform down the lumber aisle on his tractor loader,
Mm.
and things like that. And uh, it's
No,
ridiculous,
it's
but I can get away with it. And I talk about how I can say, go up to any man in the room I want to and say, hey, aren't you the most fabulous man in the room tonight? And it doesn't matter if he's got a girl on his arm or not. And I talk about how they just instantly engage with me, where a younger girl couldn't do that. And you can always sweet talk a cop, you know, when you're getting tickets.
sure.
They
I see where
always,
you're always.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've gotten out of tickets in a lot of ways. I once promised this young rookie cop, I knew he was a rookie, a date with my sister if
Mm.
he just let me off with a warning. And the most dramatic time was well, I prefer to call it driving efficiently, but everybody else says it's speeding. Matter of interpretation, maybe.
I agree.
But the cop stops me on the highway uh, coming into the city of Tulsa, and I forgot to slow down. Once because I was in a hurry. I was tired. I wanted to get to the hotel, and he stops me, and I'm thinking, oh, and so I start going. I'm a great actress. There's an Emmy and an Oscar waiting for me somewhere. I
Hmm.
just haven't gotten it yet. But anyway, the cop stops me and he comes to the side of the car and he says, ma'am, did you know you were speeding? And by then I've already worked up my method acting and I go, I know, but I'm late and my husband beats me. I gotta get
You got to
home.
get home to your beating.
And
That's great.
he, straight faced, he says, "One moment, ma'am, I'll be right back." And he goes to his car, and I'm thinking, oh, damn. Oh, damn, oh, damn, oh, damn. Because I've already got one ticket out. And he comes back, and I'm thinking, okay, okay, he's, and he says, "Ma'am, I'm giving you a warning for the speeding, but I'm giving your husband a ticket for expired plates." And I say, thank you. And I go home and give the ticket to my husband and say, "Here, you got a ticket." And he was
Hmm.
just,
Wow.
and then the
Pretty
other
good.
time, I just kind of schmoozed him. "Aren't you the best looking cop out here?"
I
So,
mean, if it works, if it works. So, okay, so how does the silence when your joke doesn't land hurt? Physically, emotionally, morally, or spiritually?
well, I stopped panicking because sometimes when you expect a laugh and you don't get it, you probably ruined it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a stream, vocal stream coming out of your mouth. And if it doesn't land, you kind of have to recover. And just like it doesn't matter, I say, "Okay, so you don't get that, fine." Or I'll just confess, "Well, that landed like a dud. Are you awake?"
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. Audiences are not your enemy. They just aren't. They're already got their butts in that seat and they're rooting for you unless you make them uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to own the room, right?
Oh yeah. That's the key. So speaking of owning, so very important question, advertising and self-promotion. Who advertises themselves more? The comic, the comedian, or the magician?
You know that place where you're not conscious and you're not sleeping either? That's your power bill to the electric company. Right here. I want us to be here with free energy, where the Wardenclyffe Tower meets the Eiffel Tower. But that's not where we are. We are here, where you've got the utility and you've got residential solar. Between these two, we know which one saves you money. This is where we can go in the meantime. But this is where I want us to be now, and this can be done now. So let me deputize you to represent DOSE, Department of Solar Efficiency, and let's get on the podcast to get the message out today. See you soon.
Whoever needs the money most.
Okay. You haven't seen a pattern there?
Well, in this business, it's famine or feast. You know, you ride the wave when it comes, but if you're smart, you bank for that inevitable slump. And, you can either get mad at your agents, "Just send me more work," and he'll just send back to you, "Land more auditions." So, um, I went into, well, I don't know about marketing. I didn't know anything about it. I was just an actor, a performer, a singer. That's not my job. Well, especially since I guess COVID, it is my job. So I'm
Mm.
still learning how to do that and be my own agent. And there's some fun aspects to it. Again, it seems like my warped, irreverent way of looking at things is getting me noticed. I got you noticed. I'm me noticed by you.
Am I that irreverent?
Well, I suspect you are, but as a host, you have to have some kind of decorum, right?
A little bit, not too much.
Okay. So you let your guests just sparkle if they can.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do what I can to poke, but I don't want to poke too hard. But we'll try a little bit. So how about censorship and offense? So who survives better in a cancel culture environment? The comic, the comedian, the magician, or the mudslinger?
I'm gonna say think like Dolly Parton. She's all of the above. Um, and she doesn't talk about anything offensive. And she'll shut you down if you pointedly ask her who you voted for, or I don't like, uh, you know, anything racist, anything controversial is really, you better know what you're doing if that's the way you want to uh, entertain. Because why risk losing half your audience, whether you are a comic, comedian, magician, or, you know, we're paid to entertain.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
So
some
I
people
don't
find the
go there.
dark. Right.
Although I do talk about how, I can also get away with being a little bit, really, and it comes from a place of honesty, authenticity. I am totally confused and interested in why certain things are going on, like um, all this racist talk about color. Well, I start talking about this, and I remember one night something came out of my mouth, and I was talking about the difference in trends in my day and what's going on now. And I talked about how all this hair color, we never used to see, but now we're seeing, green, blue, purple, whatever. And I said, is this what they mean by talking about people of color? And that's about as racist as I get.
Hmm. I mean, that's funny. So yeah, I mean, that's that I like it. I do. So all right. Lee, are you ready to enter the multiverse?
Multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've lasted so this long, so
Why not?
okay.
All right.
I'm nervous
So,
though.
oh yeah. So board game Zoomcast, play versus performance. So if comedy were a board game Zoomcast, are you competing as the colorist, adding tone, mood, and shading, or the Foley artist, building punchlines with soundscapes and timing?
I hate to ask, but would you repeat that?
Well, let me put it this way. So, does comedy work better when it's painted vividly or when it's orchestrated sonically?
Visually versus sonically.
Hmm.
Does sonically mean auditory?
Yeah.
Okay. I think you have to have both together to be most effective because a lot of the stuff is from timing and facial expressions and the visual reactions between audience and performer. But
Hmm.
I guess with all this voiceover stuff now and AI, I guess you don't have to do both. You can be the voiceover for whatever AI is doing. This is
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
you have
there's a nexus there where you're going to have to be the human component to something that's visually not human at all.
Yeah, but look at all the early comedians who used physical comedy, from the
Hmm.
old days from Laurel and Hardy and the Three Stooges and Lucille Ball and Dick Van Dyke, they used a lot of physical comedy and it wouldn't have been as funny if you only heard them.
Right. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think we're creating, we're just evolving into different experiments on what works and what doesn't. And so
Okay.
I'd be interested to see something, I guess, with just solely auditory or solely visual. But you have to add underscoring. Everything works with underscoring.
What do you mean by that, underscoring?
Musical emphasis.
Okay.
I directed straight plays for a long time, and I would always underscore underneath some scenes so there's some continuity and timing and impacts where you want them. So
Right.
maybe I should have been a TV director.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Why not do it now?
I don't want to work that hard.
Okay, I see.
I
It's
don't
probably
need
okay.
ulcers. I already have
Mm,
arthritis.
nice. All right, so Lee, here on the Comedians in Elevators podcast, we have a tradition where the previous guest asks a question for the next guest. And the
Oh
previous
God.
guest, the previous guest was Adriana Hamby. And her question for you, Lee, is: are you currently truly satisfied with your existence? And if you died tomorrow, would you completely be satisfied with your current existence?
Yes, I would. I've had a good life. I've lived most of it on my terms. And I've, I don't fear not being here anymore. I just hope I left, you know, the world a nice place or a nicer place in my little corner of it. Uh, but I don't want to hurt when it happens.
Mm. Or not
But
remember that in the afterlife.
yeah, hey
Maybe that's
God,
how it works.
take me now, but don't let me know about it.
Right. Or just be a memory once it's done. You're like, did that happen? Oh, I guess it did.
Or where the hell am I?
Right.
Up or down?
Oh, well, maybe it can go all around. All right. So, last question:
Yeah,
legacy. Who gets remembered? Will the comics' tight five survive time, or will the comedian's cultural point of view be more timeless?
I think the more universal the material and the personality was, they're
Mm.
going to be the ones remembered. I mean, I go back to Dolly Parton, Betty White, you know, these are kind of Robin Williams. These are my, which you probably know, I've already mentioned them to you, but yeah, the ones that are trendy, I don't think they're going to have the legacy that these timeless performers put out.
Now, is it the timeless performers? Is it their material or their personality?
Both, because if they're not
Hmm.
authentic, uh, and coming from a place of, you know, truth, I mean, the Beatles versus the Sex Pistols, who's timeless. Um, so you can be the flavor of the month, but I would rather hope I would be uh, remembered for just making you feel better when you left the auditorium or left the theater or left the studio audience, whatever.
Can you be authentic without being original?
I think so. I
Okay.
do, because I mean, we borrow material from everybody, right? You're a comedian, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
You get an idea from somebody else, you make it work for you.
Uh, I, well, they're not jokes. I get ideas that aren't comedic necessarily. You have to make them so.
Yeah, but if you steal somebody's material, like
Hmm.
word for word or uh, imitate them, that's
Right.
not comedy. That's just being an impersonator.
Right.
But, and so, no, because uh, if you, once you put it out there, it really belongs to everybody. You can't take it back. So
Right.
it's all, they say that old cliche, uh, what is it when if people, you copy somebody, it's a sign of respect.
Right.
Or, okay. Um, so it's still not you if you do that. So I get ideas all the time from people. I'll see somebody in the shopping mall and I'll watch how they bicker with the customer service people.
Hmm.
And I just kind of observe. And she might say something and I'll use that line, I'll kind of remember it. But no, I don't think if it's not from you, it's not going to last.
Now, is that an idea or is that a moment, a present
Uh,
experience? Because that's different. I would say an idea is either a past or a present, past or a future, but the present is different.
well, if you're living in the moment, you don't think about those kind of things. You just are living in the moment.
Hmm.
Memories and thoughts of the future, well, that's not now. So, but if I say something, I mean, I have students, and it shocks me into awareness that I'll say something off the cuff, And they'll come back to me 6 months later and say, well, when you said this to me,
Mhm.
it did this to me.
Right. Okay.
And I had a little 6-year-old I worked with a long time ago, which made me really realize this. I said, when you're going to hit that high note, I want you to really squeeze your fanny
Mm.
as you go into that big high note. And he looked at me, and kids are literal.
Mhm.
And so when we got to that note, he reached behind him and he squeezed his rear end.
Mhm.
And that was what made me first it dawned on me that people take what you say, and they do
Yeah.
remember. And that's a big responsibility if you're a coach.
That's for sure. So,
Yeah.
so Lee, where can everybody find you online?
Okay, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on
Right.
Facebook. I'm on, to some extent, Instagram. I wanted to say ideogram. And I've got a website. It's leecolevo.com. And I'm easy to find, actually, if you know how to spell Colee, which is Colee.
Right.
And that little apostrophe over the second E means Colee.
Olay.
Yeah.
Awesome, Lee. Well, thank you so much for being my guest, and for everyone, please like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.
Okay, it was a real pleasure.
If you're interested in too much information like in the network state or Mantipus the chicken shit, check out this video. Or is it this one right here? Well, either way. Lizard.